Hey guys, this is Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you. Now many of you have been crying out for me to do some water cooling and I haven't done any for a while. So when this come up, basically when the Fractal Define C come up and I reviewed it, and I will pop the link above and I will put the link below and all of that stuff so you can go and find this review should you want it. But anyway, when I did this review, it was so small and compact, but it also made my kind of mind start to spin in about what you could do with it, how you could do it. Just, you know, I do just go off on these weird tangents. You know what it's like when I'm talking, you can imagine how bad my brain gets. So it is very short in the fact that they've kind of condensed the front down compared to the Define S, which means that you are very short of space inside. Now there is a small space at the front here, underneath the power supply, underneath the power supply cover. It's technically where the mechanical hard drives can go, but you can remove those and you could get a pump and a reservoir underneath at the bottom. But Alphacore have released a lot of cool stuff over the last few weeks. We've got the Eyes Bear and we've got the Eyes Wolf. Now the Eyes Wolf is basically a modular GPU block, but it's actually an AIO. And you do have these fittings that you can expand it. You can link it into the CPU one as well. But the problem is the hoses are quite long, and I'm with the most of you guys out there as well, where I think that they look a bit clunky and would ruin the feel. Now for a beginner, these would be brilliant because you can just unhook them, link them into other stuff, expand your loop, lovely, no worries. And for simple upgrading and, you know, calming someone down so they can get onto their water cooling journey earlier, then they are, and they do have a place, they are a good thing. But when you've done your water cooling for a few years like me, or maybe you're very much into aesthetics like me again, but like you guys, I think that you can kind of, you can turn your head on these things, where I'm actually going to say to you, maybe, yes, they're not perfect, but then again, how many of you out there have taken a Dremel to your case, or, you know, modded your case, or, you know, done little mods to your rigs? A lot of the time, because we're getting, you get into that enthusiast arena, you know, you're working towards your PC Master Race degree rather than just being a member of the club. There's nothing wrong with customizing your kit. So that's what I'm going to do with this. We're going to get this in here. We're going to have two 240mm radiators fitted, hopefully. Yeah, we're going to get it all plumbed in. We've got some hosing that we're going to use just to go red hosing. And then what I might still put red coolant in this yet as well. But we're going to put a T-line fitted. We're going to have a drain valve as well, because that's how we're going to fill it up. You can fill it up on the CPU block, but we're going to put a drain line in, which if we can open it up, that means we can put fluid in as well as get it out. So that's how we're going to be doing that. We've got a T connection, we've got some kind of extra fittings and stuff. And yeah, so I'm going to do a little short bit of watching me build it. Not going to put a lot of it in, because the end look is what I'm going for. So we're going to get it all in. We're going to see what the temps for the GPU and the CPU are like together. So yeah, I suppose I better just get on with it. So a quick reminder just about the case. You can see that we don't have an enormous amount of room at the front here. This is where they've kind of condensed it all down, but we do have room for a 30mm rad. I'm hoping that we're going to have enough room to get another 30mm rad in the roof as well and get all of the fittings all linked in together. I just wanted to give you a quick kind of scan. You can see we've got a couple of graphics cards in here, but we're only going to be fitting one in for the water cooled side of it, just because I don't have two of the same blocks. We're going to have the CPU one here, and then hopefully we're going to get it all done, and it's going to mean that everything's going to be condensed into this area as well. We've got some nice red hose, so we're going to try and keep the red theme. The motherboard that we've got in there is the MSI Z170 crate, and for more of the red theme, we're going to be putting some red LED fans in there as well. We're going to play around with some white lights. There's a fair bit that we're going to have a play with.
gonna throw my memories away. Now I feel I'm done, and I am cursed by every day till my time is gone. I've never felt this way before, and now I know this all for sure. I won't forget your last betray. I'll never forget this day. I'll never forget this day. I'll never forget this day. I'll never forget this day.
Just a quick stop off to show you all the kit out of the rig. We've got the CPU cooler out, the graphics cards out, nice big open space now. Jobs to do now, whiz the front fan out and then start getting the water cooling stuff ready.
I'm gonna throw my memories away. Now I feel I'm done, and I am cursed by every day till my time is gone. I've never felt this way before, and now I know this all for sure. I won't forget your last betray. I'll never forget this day. I'll never forget this day. Forget this day. I'll never forget this day. I'm gonna throw my memories away. Now I feel I'm done, and I am cursed by every day till my time is gone. I've never felt this way before, and now I know this all for sure. I won't forget your last betray. I'll never forget this day.
Back from the dead.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're all invited to go fucking mental on this motherfucking drop. The countdown has just begun.
from the dead.
Hell yeah.
We're back from the dead.
Are you ready? Let's go.
Back from the dead.
We're back from the dead.
Hell yeah.
We're back from the dead. Back from the dead. Back from the dead.
Feel me like a Hellcat. Coming like a Hellcat. Like a Hellcat.
Lunchtime! We have slow roasted tomato soup with basil and balsamic vinegar, and then I've got a cheese sandwich on some funky seeded bread just to dunk in it. Anyway.
Hellcat.
Quick handheld pit stop. So we have the front radiator in, we have the roof radiator in, and it's taken quite a bit of doing because there are a lot of connectors around there. I'm going to show you from the top in a sec, and we have quite a few connectors up this side. We've got a 90 there, we've got the takeoff for the fill and drain line there, which I said we've got a 90. I did have to cut the edge of the fan off to get this in because it is all super tight. And if we look from this side, at this end, there are actually 390 degrees so that we can get the hose up and round, comes up and round on this side. And you can see the takeoff here for the fitting, which we've got 290 degrees on that as well. So one comes up and then the other one comes over, so that we've actually got some flex and some safe movement. And then on the end of this we have the drain and the fill line. This hose may end up getting shorter, but it's just so that we can get it on. If we were going to drain it, I would probably say that we'd tip the system upside down, and that would be the easiest way to drain it, because it wouldn't get all the water out of the radiator with it this way up. So I might shorten this and just have it down here somewhere. I'm not very good with the camera in my hand, I'm well out of practice. Anyway, so now what we have to do is get the CPU block on. I've got the 45 up here ready to go down to the CPU block. We need to get the CPU block on, get that hosed up and hosed into the GPU, and then work out how I'm going to do the GPU, because I've got a 90 here which comes straight down, which is the only way I can get it out of the radiator. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down the back of the graphics card and hide the hose underneath here. So really the only hose that we're going to see is that one and that one, which makes life nice and neat and tidy, which is obviously the look that we're going for. Apologies, but you're back on the handheld. So we are all hosed up. I've shown you the top. Basically all I did in the end is I put a 90 degree up here, 45s on both of the pumps, although it was a bit of a faff finding out which one was in and out, but I I asked Aquatuning in the end and they told me. So 45 down, 90 degree into this, 2 90s on this, but that was just so that we had extra movement, and I was going to go up the side of the GPU block and then up, but I just managed to poke it out through the back, so it goes out the back way. It makes this a little bit longer, which I'm still not 100% comfortable with, but we're all in, and like I said, we've got a bit of flex there, so I could clip the hose up to try and hide it, but the whole point is we've tried to minimise the hose. So this is the worst one in my eyes. But the other thing to think about now is we've kept the hose relatively tidy because we've not got a res or a pump in there, because we've got a pump in there, we've got a pump in there. Technically there's a reservoir in there as well. Obviously we're going to be using the T-line down the back to get everything filled up. What I'm going to do now is add a jump connector onto the 24 pin. You can buy them quite cheaply, or you can just short the green pin out with a black one. As you can see, I've put the connector on. All it does is short the green wire out with any black one. We used to do it in the old days, because I'm an old man, with a broken paper clip. But anyway, so you can do that, and then what that will do is when I turn the power supply on, the system will get jump started, and this will just mean that the pumps will run, and it will mean that we can start to get the coolant flowing around. I don't want to burst your bubble from the glamorous world you think reviewing is. I'm just testing the rig at the moment, so I've got Valley looping in 4K, which is how I do my graphics card tests. And just to kind of show you, I've probably already said it, because obviously I film the videos at different times, but the fans are on 50% and so are the pumps. So the fans are on like 650 RPM. And then the pumps are running at about 1800 RPM, I think. No, actually, sorry, they're 1200 RPM that they're running. So it's all mega, mega quiet. But the graphics card, if you can see it, 37 degrees. 37 degrees. Just to put it into context, when I tested the graphics card on its own with a 240 radiator, I'm pretty sure it was up in the 40s. So I'm massively impressed, considering that the fan speeds are also low, and we've actually got the CPU in the loop as well. But it's now time for me to flick this off, and I'm going to do some CPU stress testing now to see how we get on. Okay, so we have a situation change, position change, and we also have a kind of a clothing change, and the rig is finished as well. When the video cut off before, when I turned it off, the top fitting that goes into the radiator, because of the pull from the hose, had untwisted just a little bit, and it had a few drips of water. So all I did was I then got some pliers on, tightened it up, and it was literally like half a turn difference. Got that on, and it was all fine. Now, that's why we leak test, that's why we take our time, that's why we make sure that we don't have everything plugged in. It was at the front of the system anyway, so it was away from the electrical stuff. But even if it did leak on the electrical stuff, if you were to be building, all you need to do is dry it off as best you can, and then just leave it for a few days to make sure that it's 100% dry. With capacitors and a lot of fittings, what you also need to keep in mind is that liquid can get underneath, which is why we need to leave it. But as long as you dry it off as best as you can and then leave it for a little bit, I don't know, leave it near a radiator, you can get the air blowers, blow it all through, but definitely leave it for a day or two just to dry out. It shouldn't be too much of a problem. The only problem that I did have with it was bleeding. That was a mission, but in the end what I was doing is, because I had the bleed line at the back, the bleed line, the filling port, all of that sort of stuff, I ended up leaving it with the window kind of area placed down and the hose up, because then it had a natural place for the air to filter out. And I did find, in the end, the best place to fill it was at the front, on the CPU block. So what I was doing is I was filling it from there, turning it over, bleeding the air out, turning it back over again. So it did take a little bit of time. But there is no, this is the way it works manual. There isn't where, you know, systems are different. We have different parts in different places. You just have to kind of run with it and kind of go with it. So if I whiz the door off, I know a lot of you are going to be wondering what the little EL panel is, and it's the Watercooling Eyes Licht. And I like it because it's a big chunky aluminium, depending on where you're from, panel. You've got little magnets that you can screw into the bottom, or it comes with a sticky pad as well, so you can put it up, you know, on your system, you know, stick it on the roof or something if you've got an alley case. But it was just something different than a normal LED panel to put in there. And it kind of, the black fits in with the rest of it. And it's a really nice subtle light for the rest of the rig. The fans themselves are 1400 RPM. I've actually set these, as I've said, to 650 RPM. And with them set to that, I've spoken to you about some of the temps, but I ended up running Unigine and OCCT Linpack AVX mode running together, and the absolute most that I could get out of the temperature wise was we did break 60 degrees on one core for the CPU, and the graphics card went up to 49 degrees in the end, and that's with very minimal fans. You need to remember we've got no massive reservoir full of coolant as like a you know, like a thermal capacitor or anything like that. And I also turned the pumps down from 2600 RPM. They were in the end running at 1500 RPM, and it is incredibly quiet. Now I love the little Define C. As I've shown you, you can get the cooling in there that can keep your rig both cool and quiet. But one of the things that you do need to bear in mind, and that is where it is compact, if you want to fill it full of, let's face it, 480 millimeters of radiator and get the hose in there and have it tidy like this, you are going to need to take your time. I did end up using 12 90-degree fittings in this. I think there are I think there are only 2 45s actually. Most of them are 90s, and you can't really plan for that until you get it, because I've got a lot of 90 degrees in the top end of the case and around the back to be able to get the hose all the way around. But I think really it came out really nice and tidy, and it kept things quite simple as well. We didn't have the extra hose going off for reservoirs or anything like that. And also, where the pumps are internal and they're quite small, they're actually quite quiet as well. And that's one of the things that I've been really surprised with the Wolf GPU block, is how quiet it is. If you do get any noise when you are bleeding your own like this, you just need to make sure that you've got all of the air out of them, because the water does end up acting like a damper. So if you've got an air lock in there, it may not gurgle like there's water going around, but the pump noise can get louder. Once you get that air out of it, it all actually does become ridiculously quiet. And the only way you would really know if this system was on would be if you were really, really late at night, and like the whole house was silent, and then you'd hear, you know, kind of a really subtle hum. It's quieter than my rig Orca. I've been amazed at how well this has ended up cooling and how quiet it's ended up being. So I haven't noticed, I mentioned actually, the graphics card is a 1080 and the CPU is a 6700K. And in the end, with the 6700K, I ended up putting, to get that, the temperature I told you about before, I had it running at 4.8 gigahertz, but I actually ended up overvolting it more than was needed just to try and put much more heat into the rig. So I ended up putting 1.375 volts through it. Now, don't get me wrong, that's not what I would say is a healthy amount of voltage for that chip. But I was just putting that voltage in it to try and make it create more heat and to see whether we could really overload it, whether we would get spikes of temperatures and all that sort of stuff, and it really didn't. So I've not done a little kind of sideline project like this in a long time. But I would like to thank Fractal, because this is the case that I reviewed initially, so that it's not like a special sample or anything. And the Fractal power supply that I've got in the bottom is one from, you know, like years ago. But for aquatuning really, because it was a little bit of a random one, because I wanted to take their expandable Eyes Wolf and Eyes Bear, but I didn't want to use their normal hose and I wanted to rip it all apart. And normally that's when manufacturers kind of shy away and they don't want you to do that sort of thing. But aquatuning, they just turned around and went, yeah, crack on, Tom. Nice one, thanks. Yeah, sounds cool. So the only weird thing, as you probably noticed, is I've not got a 120mm fan in the back. If I was going to keep this for myself, I would put a screw-on dust filter on the back of the case. And the only reason why we don't have a fan in the back is because there's just not enough room with the end of the radiator. It's that sort of tight. But we've got 2 fans in the front, 2 fans in the top. The motherboard isn't getting hot, the chipset isn't getting hot, the memory isn't getting hot, the MOSFETs aren't getting hot, and you've seen what the CPU and the GPU temperatures are like. So in my eyes, it's cool, it's calm, it's collected, it's compact. And the other thing I'm going to say is I'd not brought it up earlier, but people may have noticed I didn't put any clamps or clips or anything like that on my hose. I use 1/2" barbs on with 7/16" ID hose, and it's a really tight fit. Now, I've had my rig Orca run on that, and I've built several systems for friends in the past in the same sort of way, and I never do put clips on them, which is also why when I use like coolant and stuff, I normally have like black fittings, black barbs, and then like red coolant or white coolant, so you get the difference. I wouldn't normally use red hose like this. I only did it in the end just to give us a kind of an extra splash of colour in there. But obviously if you did want to change this, and you could just use the clear hose and a red coolant, I think it'd probably look better. You could also, don't forget, if you wanted to have an NVIDIA theme rig, you could use green coolant and green fans, blue coolant, blue fans. Use whatever you want, but the only thing I would say is keep your lighting to white, because then if you've got white lighting, what it's going to do, it's going to pick out highlights in the system. Now sadly I couldn't get custom cables for the Fractal power supply. I think you may see some new products where you might be able to have fully modular and custom cables coming from them not too soon. But anyway, or at least I would hope so. But if you had custom cables in this, the white LED will pick out the colour and make it pop. Whereas if you had red cables and a red LED, then everything is just red and you don't have any kind of like accent in it. It just all bleeds into one and it's all the same thing. And if you have red LEDs and red hose and red cables, you would have actually been better off just putting the red LED in, because all the other red bits just get lost in a sea of red. And that's why I normally go with add the red accents, like I said, cables, RAM, fans maybe like these, pop a white LED in it, and then when you sat beside it, it literally will make all those red bits grab out and pop and grab you. Now that's just my way of doing things. That's my, that's my thing. Obviously I like colour, I like the red. I just think white LEDs, LEDs, whatever you want to call it, I just think that's the way forward. I could have put more in, we could have put more in the front as well. But anyway, what was the reason for doing this? Well, the reason for doing this was just to see, in such a compact case, if I could get enough water cooling in there and tidy, and it still give good cooling performance, and I think I have done. If you were thinking about a hard tube and why have I not gone hard tube, you could change the 3 very visible tubes to hard tube to kind of, tidy it up a little bit. It would be a very simple thing to do, but with the one at the top that I showed you, that was all the way around, that I would say would almost be impossible to be able to get the 2 lines to fit up, because there is so little room up around the top. So you might really need the flex up there. But these 3, you could probably find a way to be able to bring that in should you want. In fact, to be honest with you, even if you did just do this one and this one with rigid hose, it could clean the lines and the look up a little bit more. So please do let me know what you think. I'd also like to, if you've got a Define C, then post your build log in either the project logs, that's if you're going to be building it and following it through, or you can go to the rig display section on the OC3D forums if you've already built it and you've got some pics. But we like build logs. Build logs are good. We like to see things evolve. But anyway, so you can go to the OC3D forums if you would like to talk to the community about your Fractal rig. But for now, at least, I would like to know what you think. Thank you very much again to Aquatuning and Fractal. But this has been Tiny Tom Logan with a rather video. I would say a different video, but I've not done anything like this for a while. And I have personally really enjoyed the battle with this. So I'd love to know what you think. Thank you very much. This is Tiny Tom Logan out. Ding!